you ever wondered why so many people are being diagnosed with autism now? What's the difference between autism and Aspergers? What about high-functioning autism? Do genetics really cause autism? These answers, plus more, are why you need to know the history of the autism diagnosis. Autism was originally thought of as a form of childhood schizophrenia caused by cold parents. In 1943, an Australian-American psychiatrist and physician named Leo Kanner who described autism as an extreme autistic aloneness, also delayed echolalia, and an anxiously obsessive desire for sameness, noting that children were often intelligent and had an extraordinary memory. This resulted in the belief that autism was an emotional disturbance and did not affect cognition. In the 1950s and 60s, autism was believed to be rooted in cold and unemotional mothers. In the United States, the American Pediatric Association puts out a diagnostic and statistical manual known as the DSM. Right now we're on number 5, but in 1980, DSM number 3 established autism as a pervasive developmental disorder, separating it from schizophrenia. There were 3 specific categories listed for diagnosis, including lack of interest in people, severe impairment in communication, and bizarre responses to environment. These had to develop in the first 30 months of life, so these had to be present before your child was 2.5 years old. In 1987, a revision of the DSM-3 was put out, broadening the concept of autism. This was done through adding a mild N of autism, known as pervasive developmental disorder not otherwise specified, or in short, PDD-NOS. At this point, they also dropped the 30-month requirement, allowing kids to be diagnosed and have symptoms after the age of 2.5. There were 16 categories listed across 3 domains. You were required to meet 8 of them for a diagnosis. This change reflected the growing understanding that autism was not just one diagnosis, but a reflection of multiple symptoms that could be present throughout your life. In 1994, the DSM-4 came out, and with it came a new diagnosis of Aspergers, even though Aspergers first came around in the 1940s by a pediatrician named Hans Aspergers who observed autism-like behavior, where children had difficulties with social skills and communication, but still had normal intelligence and language development. It was around this idea that professionals thought that it was just a mild form of autism, often using the phrase high-functioning autism. The DSM-4 then had a revision in the year 2000. This list included 5 conditions: autism, PDD, Aspergers, CDD, a childhood disorder where there were severe developmental regression, and also Rett affecting movement and communication, often found in girls. These 5 categories created a huge spike in those being diagnosed. It's because of this that researchers started to hypothesize that autism was caused by genetics, and that each of these categories would be linked to a specific problem and diagnosis with treatment. The Human Genome Project was completed in 2003, and they tried to link autism to genetics. They found hundreds of genes, but none of them could be exclusively linked to autism. Since finding a genetic blueprint would be impossible, experts decided it would be best to make an all-inclusive diagnosis ranging from mild to severe. In 2013, when the new DSM-5 came out, they got rid of autistic disorder and Asperger's. Instead, they replaced it with an umbrella diagnosis now known as autism spectrum disorder, which is what is currently being used today. When this new diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder came out, people with previous diagnosis began to worry. Those who had Asperger's or autism were worried that they were going to be ineligible for the services they previously had, and they wouldn't have access to treatment through insurance companies. But it turns out parent lobbyists and clinicians were swaying for certain diagnoses to make the children eligible for treatment and to help insurance pay for it. So when the autism spectrum disorder came around as a diagnosis, it actually opened more doors for people to receive services. And the new guidelines allowed more people to be diagnosed, therefore creating another huge spike in those actually being diagnosed with autism. So to recap, we figured out autism is not schizophrenia, and it's most likely being caused by genes that are still unknown, and not by unloving and cold mothers. We've also seen huge spikes in autism diagnosis every time they change the manual. This is most likely because it allows for more people to be included in that diagnosis. The idea of Asperger's has been around since the 40s, but wasn't an actual diagnosis until 1994, but then was taken away again in 2013. High-functioning autism isn't an actual diagnosis and never has been. It's used a lot by professionals to describe somebody with mild autism, and also for a short time considered Asperger's. Autism is still hypothesized to be a genetic disorder, but that has not been proven yet. There have been many researchers trying to prove what gene causes autism. Those studies are still going on today. Spark has created the largest national research to actually try to find that gene. I will leave a link down below if you guys want to learn more about the Spark research, or if you guys want to participate and be a part of this study. If you guys want to learn more about autism, comment "I learned something today" down below, and that'll let me know that you guys are interested in learning more about autism. And if you guys have stuck around, be sure to give us a big thumbs up, like our video, subscribe down below, and turn on that notification bell. It really helps our channel. What that does is it tells YouTube that you guys are interested in autism, and it helps promote autism for everyone else to see. I would like to really get the autism information out there so people can learn more about autism. The more we learn about it, the more normal it becomes. So the more you share our video, the more awareness it's going to bring to other people. We create educational videos about autism, autism schooling, fun activities, and food. And we post a new video every Tuesday. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!
Click on this video. Will you please click on this video? Come on, push it. Can you please subscribe? Can you please push that subscribe button? Or, for the other video, you're going to press this button. Go on, click this button, or this button, or this button. Well, mostly this button. I would like it if you did.